Hello, good morning. We have here Rick Pizzoli. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You are founder and CEO of Salesforce Europe.
Yes.
Tell me, what do you do in your company? Tell about your company.
So we help technology companies expand into Europe, expand into new markets. Mainly Europe, but also Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Our companies, some of them based are from Silicon Valley, many of them are Europe also. So if a company, let's say it's a UK company, they have the same problems entering the French market or the Spanish market as somebody from Silicon Valley.
Why did you decide to set up this company?
Well, I founded the company in 2003. Before, I was the vice president of sales for a couple of technology companies, and I had a problem. I needed to expand into Europe, and hiring and firing people in Europe is very expensive. It takes sometimes 3 to 6 months. You have to pay recruitment fees. Once you get them on board, maybe they don't work out, maybe the market is not right, and it's difficult for companies, number one. Number two, many companies don't need a full-time person in France or Spain. They need somebody maybe 1 day a week, 2 days a week to call on telco or call on channels, etc. So I needed more of an agent model where I could work with senior people that were maybe representing 2 or 3 technologies, not necessarily all for us. But those teams weren't available. There were some individual agents, but not a team that I could call on. So basically in 2003, I created what I needed, which is really what we believe is a best-in-class technology sales force in Europe.
What is the difference between the traditional model, the business model, and your business model?
Well, in Europe, in the US is one big market. 300 million people. You can have somebody from New York selling to California. But in Europe is different. In Europe, you need somebody in each country to sell locally. A person in London has a very hard time selling in France. And so you need people in those local countries. And so the traditional approach is to hire somebody full-time. But it costs money, it takes time, it's a big commitment, and maybe that's not the right market. So we offer a much flexible, much quicker way to enter these new markets. People still pay a monthly fee to cover cost and cover time in a commission, but it's much more, let's say, flexible and more based around success than let's say, hiring full-time people and opening up offices, etc.
And how much time does it take to selling the technology?
It kind of depends on if the brand is not known or known. But really to establish yourself in a new market, in total it takes about a year. And we kind of break that down into kind of 4 quarters. And so the first quarter we're really evangelizing a new brand. We're getting people excited about it, to understand it. What's the technology? What's the solution? What problems does it solve? And then the next quarter, you're testing the product, you're signing distribution agreements, channel agreements, you're doing trials with telcos. And then third quarter is typically when you're selling the first deals. You know, maybe the first implementations, first installations, the first, let's say, channel sales, and then really Q4 is when you start to see the revenue ramp to really build a solid foundation for kind of year 2 and year 3 growth.
So, how much time? More or less 6 months?
In total, a year.
A year.
Really, to really build that foundation for sustainable business. Sometimes we get lucky and we sell something in the first quarter, but really you'll know if it's going to be successful or not within typically 6 months.
Okay.
Because that's really when you've engaged the market, you have the feedback, and you never know if somebody wants to buy something until you take it to them and you say, do you want to buy it? You can do all the research you want, but until you take it to them and you say, is this something that's interesting to you? Is it better than the other products that are available in the market? You don't know until you take it to them.
If the companies really know the technology, how do you know it will be successful or not?
We go through a process that we call engagement planning, which we really dig deep into the client's technology, positioning, marketing, partner programs, pricing, story, current clients, and we document that all in kind of a 10-page plan. We share that with our in-country people, who are senior people, they're ex-country managers, vice presidents of sales from telecom or manufacturing, etc. And first they look at it and they say, yes, this is something that I believe would be of interest. The next step is if it's clear where we want to go, if it's clear we want to go to Germany or the UK, then we just jump into those markets. If it's not clear, we can do what we call a 3-month market qualification, which we might do start in 5 countries, knowing that we really want to test 5 to see how it works, and then focus on the best 3 at the end of that. Because again, you can do all the research that you want, but until you take it to the market, you don't really know. And that's another advantage of working with the kind of the agent approach, is it gives you that flexibility. You can test markets. If it works well, then you can really focus your resources there.
Another question, in this moment, in Europe, there are a very big crisis, economical crisis.
Yes.
Do you think it's the best moment to invest in Europe?
People are still buying IT. Companies are still moving. And so if you have a technology, let's say it's a SaaS technology or a technology that saves money for companies or helps them do things more efficiently or more effectively, maybe with less manpower, or focus that manpower on revenue generating activities, absolutely. You have to be more creative. You have to be smarter. You have to think more about positioning. You think more about the business case. People aren't just buying technology for the sake of technology. They need to see, is this going to save me money? Is this going to help me be better in business? And so people have to think about that. Mm-hmm. So purely technology-driven sales, it's harder. But if it's really a business-driven sale, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for coming here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye. See you.